Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
I call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee on September 23rd, 2025 at 5:35 p.m. First item of business is the approval of minutes. I'll need a motion on the draft minutes of the September 9, 2025 Finance meeting.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to our next item, public appearances for non-agenda items. We have nobody in chambers and nobody online, so we can move on to item 4, Finance Director Report. Misty?
Thank you. So first, I will point you to the Moody's Issuer Comment Report that's included in the packet. We did not borrow in 2025, so there's no official credit rating for us, but once a year they still like to issue this comment, this issuer comment that you can see in there. Really, it just kind of looks at what our metrics are and how that compares to our AAA peers. So that's available for you. If you have any questions, I'll pause.
So we are still considered a AAA
Correct.
community?
Yep, it doesn't actually change any ratings. It's just a report.
Okay.
They call it surveillance.
Bill?
Yeah, so I was looking over the various metrics and, you can, like you said, compare with our peers. Anything jump out at you that's noteworthy that you might want to talk about or no?
I think for a lot of the metrics, if you look strictly at the numbers, qualifying for AAA would be a challenge for us. But there's some of the other metrics that we're exceptionally strong in, which is what kind of pushed us over that edge. I mean, those are the ones that we have the most control over. So nothing that I would say is surprising, but just kind of reiterates that AAA is, after a lot of diligent work by many councils in the past, and something that we could lose relatively quickly if we don't maintain that same priority. Other than that, two things. So the 2026 Mayor's Proposed Budget was released on Friday, and then a news flash went out on Monday to let everybody know it's out there. We have our special Finance Committee meetings then next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Hopefully many people from the council will be there. This is our information gathering stage, so it's your chance to ask as many questions as you have of the departments so that you understand what their requests are and help kind of figure out what your priorities are. And then even bigger news, so Anna is started in our department. So we had an employee resign not that long ago that has been filled, and she started yesterday, which is fantastic. So really looking forward to getting her up to speed and ready to help us out.
Congrats. Seemed like a relatively quick hiring process.
It was very good. Yep.
That's awesome. And the special finance meetings are next Monday and Tuesday?
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Tuesday,
I believe.
Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay.
Both at 5:30 still.
I'll remind the council.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Misty? Seeing none, we can move on to the review of bills. 5A, detailed review of checks for $10,000 and above from September 1 to 15, 2025, totaling $850,053.67. Comments or questions? Bill?
Can you explain the unclaimed funds that are in there?
absolutely. So every other year, so it must be in odd years, the city is required to look at all of our, paychecks that haven't been cashed, AP checks that hasn't been cashed, money that we're holding that people haven't come and gotten. We have to submit that list to the county. The county publishes it in the paper. And then people have a chance to come to us and say, hey, that's ours, we want it. If we don't hear from them, then we remit that on, we cut a check to the county for that money, and then the county continues that unclaimed property process. You may be familiar with a similar process at the state level. This is just the county level instead. So you'll see we voided a bunch of those checks so that we could kind of get them off of the books, and then we reissued the check for a same dollar amount, but sent it to the county along with that report so they know who that money is entitled to. You'll notice there's a really large one on there for, I guess it's not one individual thing, but a bunch of new ones on there for police forfeitures. There was a gap in our process where we'd been holding on to evidence for longer than we needed to. And so we went through the process to record that, clean it up, and then now that is all over at the county as well.
All right. Next is 5B, detailed review of all checks issued, checks 129226 to 129299 from September 1 to 15, 2025, totaling $940,186.05. Comments or questions? Micah?
The Civic Plus for the additional SMS subscribers, is that Notify Me? Is that,
I believe so, yes.
so we have additional people signing up for Notify Me?
Yep, which is great,
That's
right?
good.
But there is
Okay.
a cost to it.
Interesting. It's a good problem to have. Seeing nothing else, we can move on to 5C, detailed review of P-card transactions for $10,000 and above for the cycle ending August 6, 2025, totaling $99,938.09. Comments, questions? Moving on to 5D, detailed review of P-card transactions for the cycle ending August 8, 2025, totaling $192,315.71. Anything? Bill?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that we've got some educational stuff in here, CBT nuggets, NCEES, fundamentals of engineering exams, UW training and housing, CDL tests. I'm just happy to see that we're able to, help city staff progress in their careers and obtain certifications and stuff. I think that's great.
Wonderful. Moving on to 5E, discussion on review of bills reports presented to the Finance Committee. Misty?
Yeah, so this is really a discussion item. So as a team, we're trying to find ways that we can remove some of our non-value added work. And so as you've seen at all of the finance committees, we have our, say, all checks or our all P-card transactions, our all ACH reports, which are required under ordinance, and we propose we continue to do that because it is required. But those separate reports that pull off the items that are $10,000 and above, it takes us about half an hour per agenda item to put that together, or about an hour a meeting to put those together. So I'm curious if the committee is open to no longer having that extra report. They'd still be available, those big checks, on that all items report. It's just be a matter of you'd have to pick them off yourself as opposed to staff putting together a separate report with just those big items. Again, we're open to doing it, but just interested in seeing if it's providing value to you or if it's not.
Comments from the committee. Micah?
I would be fine with that. Especially with the ACH one, it's almost the same items every single month or every single meeting. So I'd be fine taking on the responsibility of noticing when there's larger transactions in the full list and taking care of it myself. Yeah.
Bill?
Yeah, much the same as Micah. I do wonder, though, I don't know what sort of reporting capabilities are generating these, but, it's possible those reports could be modified to sort based on a calculated field that says, is this over $10,000 or not? Or if we could get it in spreadsheet form, we could filter it, that kind of thing.
And so the report is already set up that way, but it's a matter of running the report as a PDF, and then we have to submit it as the agenda item too. So that's what takes that amount of time, and then each one is kind of its own separate thing. And again, if it provides value, we are happy to continue to still do it, but wanted to have the conversation.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with removing it. That's how it's always been for me. I don't know when exactly that was implemented. I kind of understand the rationale behind it so that you can kind of point out what the higher level items are. But it's also not that difficult to figure that out by just looking at all of the line items. Like, it's also not that challenging. So that's a more significant amount of staff time than I would have imagined if you had asked me to guess. And I think, given limited time, I don't think that's the best use of staff time. So yeah, I'm okay removing it.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. I don't think we need to do a vote or anything. Ultimately, it's Finance Committee direct to me what you'd like to see. If something changes and we want to put it back on, we can just put it back on as another agenda item. But in the meantime, we'd love to stop doing that for the next meeting if you're open to it.
Yeah, let's check it out.
And there is that something you can just do, or do we need to like have an ordinance change or anything like that? Okay.
Nope. So the ordinance does require me to submit the all items report, which again, we're not changing. The 10,000 and above is the direction from a past Finance Committee that they had wanted to see that.
All right. We are at the end of our review of bills section, so we can move on to item 6, action items. First, I'll need a motion on resolution R13225, approving the purchase of 2026 plow truck chassis.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Lattice. Our Public Works Director, Tim, it's all you.
Thank you. The Fitchburg Public Works has a replacement schedule for our plow truck fleet. By keeping an up-to-date plow truck fleet, the trucks are more reliable and have less repairs that could make the truck not usable. Lakeside International Trucks has supplied the city of Fitchburg with a quote for a 2026 International chassis using pricing based on an accepted bid by Dayton County in the amount of $133,636.81. Public Works will need approval at a later date to have the plow, box, wing, and hydraulics installed by a different vendor. We're looking for the Common Council to approve the purchase of the 2026 from the Lakeside International in the amount of $133,636.81, and then also looking for authorization from Council for us to sell an older truck in our fleet at the Wisconsin surplus.
Questions? Bill?
What do you think we're going to get for that older truck?
We got a quote from International to a trade-in of $27,000 for that. So typically when we go to auction, we set the reserve price at that. So if it does sell at auction, it would be at $27,000 minimum or above based on what bids come in at.
Okay. And then remind me again later on, we're going to need to outfit it with the plow, box, sling, et cetera. And that is roughly the same amount, a little more, a little less?
A little bit more. It's about $150,000 to outfit it with the plow, the box, the wing, and the hydraulics.
And this is all planned following the replacement schedule laid out in our CIP?
Correct.
Other questions from the committee? Seeing none, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of resolution R13225, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on, I'll need a motion on resolution R16025, requesting exemption from county library tax.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer. Misty?
Yeah. So I'll note, Library Director Wendy Rawson will be at the council meeting tonight, and she plans to share a little bit more detail about these county standards and what all of these numbers mean too. So you'll have more information at that point. But end of the day, what this is it's an annual resolution that we pass that because we have our own library and we meet those minimum standards, which includes dollar amount we spend, number of items in our library, all of those things. Since we meet that minimum standard, we can exempt our property owners from the county library tax. So it's a way to ultimately save money for our taxpayers by not getting double taxed from both the county and our Fitchburg library.
Sounds great. Questions? We can take it to a vote. All in favor of resolution R16025, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 6C, I'll need a motion on resolution R16225, approving relocation order and TPP related to reconstruction of Fitchburg Road from Tonto Trail to Nesbitt Road.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Lattice. Tim?
The 2025 capital improvement program includes funds to reconstruct Fitch-Rona Road from Tonto Trail north to Nesbitt Road. City of Fitchburg has determined that it is necessary for public purpose to reconstruct Fitch-Rona Road with 2 travel lanes, 2 buffered bike lanes, and a multi-use path. It is necessary for the city and for public purpose to acquire property for the project for both permanent and temporary interests. This is a relocation order in accordance with subsection 32.051 of the Wisconsin statutes and a determination of necessity in accordance with subsection 32.072 of Wisconsin statutes. The improvements will be built within the area as marked on the attached transportation project plat, and we're looking for council to approve the relocation order.
Thanks, Tim. Questions? Are we going to be acquiring any land that's in the town of Verona?
Yes, there will be, kind of where the land acquisition is at the intersection of Lacey Road and Fitch-Rona Road. That's where the proposed roundabout's going. So kind of on the west side of the road is where the land acquisition is, and that's the town of Verona side. So we have met with the town of Verona throughout the design of this project. They are aware of it, and then also the residents during the public information involvement meetings that we had. I believe we had 2 or 3 involvement meetings, so they are aware that this is forthcoming.
So how does that work in terms of jurisdiction, since it's like, I know it's a city of Fitchburg infrastructure in the town of Verona?
Yeah, so the property needs to be acquired. Who's going to own that? City of Fitchburg or town of Verona? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
So it'll be based on the agreement we have with the town of Verona, and I believe it's right now down the middle of the roadway. Whether that stays the same, is to be determined because we haven't executed the final agreement with the town. But right now, with how it works, it's down the middle of the roadway. So we own the eastern half, and then town of Verona is the western half. So most likely it would be kind of a similar arrangement. So that land would be purchased and become the town of Verona.
Okay. And then can you tell me a little bit about how this MOU is working? Because I know the town of Verona is contributing, but my understanding is that they're not contributing 50% of the project cost. Or are they?
No. So for the design, I believe it was a percentage, and I think it was only 7% for the design. For the construction items, what we kind of talked about with the town of Verona is they wouldn't have done an urban section like this. So kind of the improvements that are being put in, the curb and gutter, the bike lanes, they typically don't reconstruct a road like that, so that the city would bear that cost. We did get a $2.7 million grant for this project, so that helps offset a lot of those improvements. And then the town would chip in kind of for a prorated portion for the stormwater, and then also a prorated portion of the typical section that they would construct. So I believe the preliminary number would be about $400,000 towards construction would be coming from the town, but that has not been finalized yet, and the agreement hasn't been finalized. But it is in draft form, and we would be bringing it forward for the council prior to going to construction.
And that grant that we received, that $2.7 million, is that a DOT grant?
It is a DOT grant.
For the road reconstruction, not for the, well, I guess the stormwater would be separate anyway. Other questions from the committee? All right. Thank you so much for the detail. We can take it to a vote. All in favor of resolution R-16225, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Tim. Next, I need a motion on resolution R-16425, approving police vehicle purchases.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer. Deputy Chief, are you taking this item?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
You are up.
All right, so as part of the police department reorganization, we're in need of some specific dedicated vehicles for the lieutenant and the social work position. The cost of these vehicles have been already worked into the reorganization plan at a cost neutral. So what we're looking for is, because we typically go through our vehicle purchases through the state contract, those usually take about anywhere between 6 to 12 months for delivery. However, we'd like to expedite this process and avoid delay so these positions can get implemented, at least with their vehicles, immediately. And we've identified some suitable vehicles from Kaiser's. So we're kind of focusing on the lieutenant vehicle right now. We have a separate referral for later in this meeting.
And so if I can jump in real quick.
Yes.
So there is a redlined version of this resolution in the packet. And so it will be, which was redlined by staff. It'll be important for Finance Committee to note whether you are approving it as originally drafted or as amended by staff, and then subject to further amendments you may want to do.
So as redlined, this is we're just approving the non-electric vehicle, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And is this a squad car? Like, so would it have to have the whole package?
Yes, it's the same. It's the same body style as a typical squad car. However, it's not going to have nearly as many of the interior modifications done, like the cage and some of the other items that we typically put in a squad car. It's still going to have the back seat area. It'll have a radio. It'll have some squad lights and siren, but it won't have all of the other items in a typical squad car.
Got it. So is this the total cost for the entirety of the vehicle, or is this just the vehicle?
This is just the vehicle itself. We're estimating approximately $8,000 for this particular vehicle for the items inside. However, we are waiting on a quote from our local vendors on those items.
Great. Other questions? Seeing none.
So could we clarify quick?
Yes.
So Alder Jetzer, you made the motion. Was that as originally proposed or as amended by staff?
I will move as amended by staff.
Sorry, thank you.
Great. With that clarification, all in favor of resolution R-16425, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Matt. Moving on to item E, I'll need a motion on resolution R-16825, approval for engine 2 repairs, and this is a direct referral.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Lattice. Misty, are you handling this?
Yeah, so engine 2, and then the next one is engine 3 in the fire department, had some relatively pricey repairs that were needed that put this budget out of budget. And so they're proposing this first one to be funded through vacancy savings of the fire chief while that position was vacant. And then the next one, if I could just talk about both at the same time, is using the disability premiums that were waived for 2025, using that to pay for these additional repairs.
And what is the total cost of the repair?
So it's a combination of repairs that are needed, I think. So it looks like the first one is $14,013.08. And then the next resolution, when we get there, is $6,713.42. But the budget amendment would be a little bit more than that, just to account for rounding.
Other questions from the committee? Bill?
Yeah, so the referral sheet and the resolution itself kind of imply that, it says the cost of these repairs exceeded the original estimates. And so account 335 was depleted, but the entire amount of the repairs is being shifted. Is there like some reserve in that 335 or?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't speak to that. I can follow up with the chief and get back to you at the next meeting. I'll say the overall budget for that account, I believe, is 50,000, but there's a lot of different repairs that'll happen in there, and some preventative maintenance, some repairs things. So I know it's more than just these two particular things, but it's these two particular ones that kind of tipped it over the edge.
Okay.
And is requiring the extra money.
I'm just thinking it's still September. We got another few months in the year, and so any additional repairs we're gonna see another resolution like this, right?
Yep, I'm pretty sure fire staff is working on that as we speak.
Okay.
Is it just a coincidence that both of the repairs are coming through at the same time, or is this just like a regular maintenance schedule? Just seems
Yeah,
interesting.
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
can find out.
I got the impression that these were unexpected.
Yeah. Just interesting that both
Yeah.
have
is.
unexpected. Guess it happens. When it rains, it pours.
And then, so these invoices were dated in July, and it says if you don't pay within 30 days, there's an additional 1.5% monthly charge. So I presume we already paid this, and now we want to get the resolution to properly shift the funds over?
I don't believe we have paid it yet, but I'd have to check with the chief on that too.
I mean, if that's the case, then there are additional, the 1.5%, we're being charged interest on that. So the amount that's listed in these resolutions is not quite enough.
Yeah, I'll say we have other vendors that we work with regularly that understand that sometimes our processes take time and is willing to work with us on that. I don't know if that's the situation for this one or not. Chad's got some information. Thank you, Chad.
I can indicate that I spoke with Fire Chief Sarver yesterday about these invoices. They have not yet been paid, but he has been in contact with the vendors, and they are not charging the late fee, with the operating under the assumption that after this evening's meeting, a check will be in the mail, so to speak, tomorrow.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks to Reynolds then for being understanding.
All right, seeing no other questions, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of resolution R16825, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 6F, I'll need a motion on resolution R17025, approval for engine 3 repairs, and this is a direct referral.
I'll move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer, and I believe we have everything.
Kind of talked about it already,
Yeah,
if you don't
any
mind.
additional questions from the committee? Seeing nothing, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of resolution R17025, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next is 6G. I'll need a motion on resolution R17525, authorizing the purchase of police department electric vehicle, and this is a direct referral.
I'll move to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Lettuce. Deputy Chief.
Yes, ma'am. Back again. So very similar to the first resolution. This is for an electric vehicle purchase for full-time social worker. We were directed to identify a potential electric vehicle instead of the traditional gas engine. So we have not identified a specific vendor as of yet or vehicle. However, we are identifying a target cost of $42,000 or less, which adds approximately $15,000 to our allotment for that social worker vehicle.
And that $15,000 overage is going to be paid with the hybrid electric vehicle fund?
Exactly.
Yeah. Happy about that. Any questions from the committee? Bill? Yeah.
Yeah, are you going to ask what the balance of that fund is? Oh. Misty, do you have a ballpark?
I do not, but I
Okay.
can
I'll
report
look
back
that
on
up.
that too,
Okay.
if my computer doesn't move quickly. Okay.
And for
Maybe
those
I
that
can
aren't
do it now.
aware, this is the fund that was created, I believe, with the 2021 budget process, and it's funded through savings, gasoline savings. So anything that we don't spend by the end of the year that's budgeted goes into the hybrid electric vehicle fund to fund electric vehicles. So gas was very cheap during 2020, if anyone recalls, and we spent way less than we anticipated. So it made a nice little boon for that fund. And we actually haven't had to draw on it that often because the electric vehicles have been coming in pretty good prices compared to what gas-powered vehicles have.
It is interesting that if you want to buy a small sedan, it costs you like 90% of an F-150 crew cab.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the balance in that account. It's a little more than I can answer right now, because right now we're actually showing a deficit because we haven't done the transfers for the additional EVs that we purchased using the TID closure money. So there's some things that need to happen still. But budget-wise, we have $23,000 left.
Does the city get the electric vehicle tax credit when we purchase those?
We do, and we got our
Whoa.
actual first check not that long ago, $15,000. And we have another, I want to say $50,000 that we're submitting before the next due date. And
Is
we
this
hope
a-
that we can get a check.
Is this a car that we can purchase in the next 7 days?
I was just going to ask that, yeah.
Because it
Any
expires
insight,
at
Matt?
the-
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
no.
expiring.
This
Yeah.
will not be a vehicle we can purchase in 7 days.
But when we do get the check that we're hoping we'll get, it will go back into this fund and then create more funding available for additional investment.
Wonderful. Seeing no other questions, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of Resolution R-17525, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Matt. Next item is 7 announcements. Our next finance meetings will be September 30 and October 1st, which is our special budget presentations. That is next week, Tuesday and Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. And then our next regular finance meeting will be October 14, 2025 at our normal 5:30 p.m. time. Anything else, Misty? I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Alder Jetzer. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:05 p.m. Thank you.